Hello, this Excel video tip is going to start talking about macros, what a macro is, some basic information about it, and really just a general overview of the beginning uses of macros within Microsoft Excel. So to help us with that, the first thing that you need to do is understand what a macro is. A macro is basically a way that you can automate repetitive tasks within Microsoft Excel. And we'll explain that here a little more in depth. What I want to accomplish with this video is just to give a general overview um, of, of really what the basics of a macro is. So the first thing that you want to make sure that you have engaged within Excel and turned on is what's called the Developer tab. The way you can check for that is if you look up on your ribbon and you don't see the Developer tab within the ribbon, you want to click then on File and go into Options, customize the ribbon, and you want to look for this Developer tab. Make sure there's a check mark there. If it's not checked like that, just go ahead and check it and click OK. And then that will have the Developer tab show up within the ribbon because that's where all of your macro and VBA information and tools are going to be held. Now, if you're not familiar with macros at all, probably the easiest way to begin to learn them is through what's called the macro recorder. And let's take a second and look at the developer tab here. On the developer tab, you'll see there's a code section, an add-in section, a control section, and an XML. We're going to focus right now on this code section. The first part is where it says Visual Basic, and that will take us to the Visual Basic editor. All Visual Basic is that's the programming language that macros are written in. And if you are concerned about not being a programmer, it's okay. This is probably one of the easiest programming languages to learn. And if there's just some basic things that you can really grab onto, it can be really powerful. The second button here is the view the macros, and that will give you a view to what all the macros are that are saved within this spreadsheet. And then we can record a macro, use relative references, and macro security. So if you've never used a macro before, I would recommend starting with a record macro. And for this example, what I want to have happen is whenever I open a worksheet, I always want to have in cell 1, I want it to have it say, this spreadsheet created by Alan Stewart. And I want that to be put into cell A1. I don't know why I would do that. I'm not that narcissistic, but it's just an example of something that if for whatever reason I wanted that in cell A1, rather than having to type that every time I opened a spreadsheet, I could create a macro to automatically insert that text in there. So to help us illustrate that, I'm going to delete that text for now, and I'm going to go into my developer tab, and I'm going to click record macro. And it comes up with the record macro box, and it asks me for the name. So I'm going to call this insert name. It is asking for here a shortcut key. We're not going to worry about that at this point, and we're going to store the macro in the workbook. So I'm going to click OK, and you'll notice that down here in the lower left, it's now a stop button, and if you hover over it, it says the macro is currently recording. So any keystrokes or mouse clicks or scrolls, it's going to record everything that I do. So what I'm going to do is just click within cell A1 and just type this spreadsheet was created by Alan Stewart and hit enter. And then I want to go down to row 5 and column D. I just made that up. Now, once I get all the actions that I want to do, I'm going to click stop recording. Now, if I open a new worksheet and I come back to my developer tab, I'll just click over here and I want to go to my macros now. And now you'll see where it says insert name. So if I click, make sure that's clicked, and I'm going to click run, and you'll notice that it inserts that text. up in cell A1, and it's automatically centered. I'll just flip it to left justification. So that's an easy way, a kind of an introduction to what a macro is. And again, macro is just a way that you can program a repeatable set of actions. What I'd like to get into in the next video is more inside the Visual Basic window, because as good as a macro recorder is, where the real power of Visual Basic and macros comes in is where you understand what the commands are, and to be able to um, code what you want it to do rather than actually having to record it. It becomes much more dynamic and user configurable. But overall, that's what a macro is. Again, the first step is to make sure you have the developer tab on, and then we walked through how to record a macro. That's today's Excel video tip. Look forward for further videos within macros, because this is an area of Excel that has a lot of capabilities within it. Have a great day.